So I'm curious, do you have any highlights from your, I mean, you've mentioned your study group from your undergraduate days. Were there any courses that you particularly loved you mentioned in other podcasts that you knew that you wanted to go into combinatorics before you applied to graduate school?
hmm
Were there any courses in particular that really stood out or that you really loved, or perhaps professors that you really like taking courses from?
Yeah, so certainly the first combinatorics class I took, I loved it. It was just like this is so fun. You're constantly looking for these bijections and trying to count things in clever ways, and I just loved it. So certainly that course was quite impactful. Um, the first proofs course I ever took. In a similar way, you're first finding, I first learned about these proofs, right? This ways to logically conclude that this thing is true in a way that is, airtight and no one could dispute it. And my first proofs class was there was a lot of number theory involved, which was fun. These baby number theory problems I had a lot of I really enjoyed. So yeah, those were good. Um, I don't know. I also liked um, I liked real analysis. I liked a lot of courses. I wasn't too particular. I didn't quite as much like differential equations, um, algebra, I like abstract algebra. I like it as a subject, but I kind of the classes the way I took the classes I did it in probably a poor way that I kind of was introduced to it in a way that was less productive. I'll just say, but the material was great. But yeah, I sort of I had a bad introduction to it. Um, Based off my own fault. I went into a course. I did a course and I did cut the courses in the wrong order, and that was a problem. But nevertheless,
Like, what did you?
well, okay. So I went to the University of Nebraska where they have a PhD program, and they have these year-long sequences in algebra. So the algebra works out of Dubbin and Foote. I don't know if you know that book. And then they have
That's the first algebra course Lamed and Foot
for the PhD students. So
for the
they've already
PhD.
had the
Okay, okay, okay,
yeah,
good. Okay,
yeah, exactly. So ideally they would have taken one or two algebra courses in their undergrad, and now they're ready to take this Dubbin and Foote course.
of
And
course, yeah.
um, I just jumped right into the dominant foot course. I didn't do it. So the first time I learned what a group was in this course with a bunch of PhD students sitting around me learning how to dominant foot. And it was just I wasn't ready for it. I mean, I kind of kept up a little, like I did okay grade wise, but like, so but it was all local. Okay, I need to understand this one little thing. I need to understand this one
Yeah.
little thing. If I had started, taking the undergrad algebra course, I just would have appreciated it much better. I'm sure I would have had the big picture in my mind. Like taking this double foot course, I just was kept thinking like, okay, like the integers mod p, and I kept going back to that because I think the only example I knew. Um, so yeah, I just did it wrong. So I was, didn't really appreciate it as much as I could have. But yeah, I liked a lot of math classes, but certainly the first combinatorics class I took, I just loved it. And then yeah, we had a year long sort of graduate year long sequencing combinatorics. I did that one next, and that was just wonderful. And yeah, so uh, big fan of combinatorics during my undergrad years.